Hey guys, Brandon from Blue Pig here, and I think it's time that we sit down and have a cup of coffee with each other and discuss a few things. A question that I've got a lot on Instagram and here on YouTube and Facebook from friends and family is why in the hell did I give up law enforcement to be a full time woodworker? Well, number one, I didn't fully give it up. I am still a local reserve sheriff's deputy. I'm still very much involved with my community and still very much want to help. Um, and it's not a simple answer. I'd like to start off. There's no ill will between me and my previous agency. I still have a lot of friends there. There's still people that work there that I talk to every day, and some others that I talk to and see a couple of times a week. Um, they actually asked me to stay when I turned in my letter of resignation, and that meant a lot. I've given a vast majority of my time after the Marine Corps to them. There's a couple of reasons why I did quit, and we're going to talk about them. First one being the national climate. And no, I don't care if someone likes the police or if they don't like the police. I've been in law enforcement altogether for a little over 13 years. I've done bomb, I've done SWAT, I've been a hostage negotiator, I've worked narcotics, I've been a patrol supervisor, I've worked counterintelligence, I've worked counterterrorism. I've done a good bit of everything, and I very much love the job, and I've been through the dating, the marriage, the honeymoon, the breakup, and the divorce of law enforcement more than once. So the national climate plays into my reasons for leaving, but not as much, or not the way that a lot of people would think. First and foremost is the reaction of governmental officials to the national climate. Once they start trying to change everything and make everything different, make everything more complicated, that wears on your officers. It wears a lot. And as a supervisor, you carry that weight just as much, if not more, than they do, because you're trying to motivate them and make them happy while trying to keep the bosses and the carpet up front happy. And you know what? Sometimes as a frontline patrol supervisor, unfortunately, you're just stuck in the middle of that fight. And you can't bear arms and you can't take fire. You're just kind of there as almost like a referee. And this also plays into the current COVID pandemic. We keep making knee-jerk reactions. Nobody really knows what's going on with that virus. Nobody really understands how it's spread. The CDC's information, if you actually look it up on the mask, is their pro list is just as long as their con list. But what do? Hey, if you've got more than 10 people at your house for a gathering, we're going to send in the police. I don't know what police you're talking about, because I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And when I swore my oath of office as a police officer, or a peace officer as they're called here in Georgia, I said that I would support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the United States, the laws and the Constitution of the state of Georgia, and then lastly, any local ordinances. And as a peace officer, it's a never-win job. You are a position of authority and part of the government, yet your primary job, that some often forget, is to protect the people from the government. So you absolutely show up to work every day knowing that there's no way to win. And that's something a lot of people don't think about. So they have a First Amendment right to peacefully assemble on private property. I am not going to go into someone else's house and tell them that they have to stop their child's birthday party because people are not wearing masks and they're not social distancing. What in the hell ever happened to the "it's my body, it's my choice" persona? We used it for abortion, we used it for plastic surgery, we used it for body modification, we used it for sex changes, but yet in the pandemic, it's everyone else's choice, not yours. I don't agree with that. I don't like that. And that's an issue I have with my current city commission. There's a lot of knee-jerking going on. There's a lot of things that are being passed in contrary to what the governor had stated. And when I left, I told my bureau chief, who's a major, I'm not one to bitch without a solution. If I think something's messed up, and I identify it, I'm at least going to offer an alternate plan of attack. Maybe we can do this a little bit differently. The guys are unhappy. Maybe if we did this, it would help out a little bit. But the problems that law enforcement are facing now, I don't have a solution for it. I don't know how to correct it. I know that, out of several million law enforcement officers nationwide, there's only a few bad apples. And those bad apples are setting the precedents and causing mass punishments for everyone else. The other thing is respect. And I don't believe in giving somebody respect just because of who they are, or because they have a 10-star on their chest, or who their parents are, where they come from, or they're a veteran, or they're a law enforcement officer, or anything like that. Respect for a title is given. Respect for an individual is earned. And I by no means ever thought that my badge was a crown, or I was untouchable, or anything like that, because there's a lot of times that I had to go into the boss and go, hey, I dicked this up. I'm sorry. You're going to get a complaint on this, and if they complain, just want to let you know 100%, yes, I was an asshole, and it was unwarranted, and I shouldn't have done that. Because we all have those moments. There's people that call in that complain on officers, and, well, that officer was very rude to me on that traffic stop. Well, then you go back and you watch his video on the traffic stop, and did he have a command presence? Yes. Was he being rude? Not at first. Not until all the, really, I paid your taxes, isn't there any real crime going on, you're just trying to meet your quota, this, that, and the other. And yeah, then the officers get a little gruff, because here's what you don't realize is, yeah, there is other crime going on. And so the simple fact that an officer had to address you personally for doing something simple as speeding, even though that speeding offense might have been you were doing 25 over the posted speed limit in a school zone while children were crossing the street and you almost clipped a crossing guard because you wasn't paying attention, you're texting on your cell phone. Yes, there is much bigger crime that I could be focused on. But unfortunately, because of your actions, I had to make an action, and now we're having a conversation on the side of the road. And now the officer is the bad guy and he's the asshole, and he's kind of gruff, and you forget that, in this week, this may only be his first, second year on the job. And during this week, he's worked his first fatality car wreck. He's worked the worst case of domestic abuse that even some of the veteran officers have ever seen. He's had to deal with the church girl who's been molested by the youth minister, his first child death, his first suicide, his first time ending up on social media because somebody pulled out a camera and caught him doing something like eating or smoking or something that everybody else does, but because he's a peace officer and he was working, it was uncalled for. He's worked his first child abuse. He rode in the back of a police car running lights and siren holding some kid's skull together after he was hit by a car that was driven by a drunk driver that ran him over while he was riding his bicycle in his front yard. People forget all these other things that police do because nowadays people are so entitled and so self-centered to the point to where you did this. You could have been doing something else other than writing me a ticket. Well, then maybe if you pulled your head out of your ass for 10 seconds, you wouldn't have had that interaction with that police officer. That's another issue. Second off, the mass media. Officer goes out and plays football with kids. Somebody takes a picture of him, hugged up on one of the kids, picking him up, playing. And it's, cop attacks unarmed child at sporting event. Really? A guy just went out there, he's 37 years old, 10 years in the Marine Corps, been through 5 helicopter wrecks, and he gets out of bed every day eating Advil like they're coming out of a damn Pez dispenser, and he's breaking his body every day doing this job, wearing 41 pounds of extra gear that no one else has to wear. And he takes time out of his day to play with kids, do this community policing and all this stuff that, the governor's initiatives and all this stuff, actually putting that into practice, and somebody puts a negative spin on it every time. I went to a shop with a cop thing the other day where, a local police organization sponsors, unfortunate circumstance, or children in unfortunate circumstances, to give them a good Christmas. We raise a lot of money for them kids. And this year they sponsor 14, 15 families. And they take the kids and they let them pick out Christmas presents. And we walk out and it doesn't cost any of the taxpayers anything. It doesn't cost the parents anything. We even feed the parents while the police take their kids shopping. The first thing I see on Facebook when I get home, a picture of 3 deputies down with kids with their mask pulled to the side so that everybody can be seen smiling. And, well, the city passed this ordinance. Why aren't the officers wearing a mask? Guys, this isn't a time to nitpick and pots call the kettle black and everything else. This is a time for us to come together as one. As one voice, as one fight, as one nation. That's just not happening anymore. The other thing is, a lot of your police officers are very, very isolated, especially ones that work 12-hour non-rotating or non-overlapping shifts, which is what we did. We worked 7 to 7, night shift worked 7 to 7. As a sergeant, you don't bitch down. If you're a smart sergeant, you don't bitch up. So what does that mean you're doing? You're internalizing everything, you're keeping it. Even guys who are really good at keeping, guys and girls who are really good about keeping, personal life and work life and everything separate, eventually that starts to eat on you, starts to get to you. And I got to that point. For 13 years of this, I've seen a lot. I've cut Marines out of trees. I've cut people down off of balconies. I've scooped up remains. I've went and told mothers that their sons aren't coming home or their daughters aren't coming home while I'm still covered in their child's blood. I've saved, patched up bullet holes on prostitutes. I've put tourniquets on motorcycle riders. I've been shot at. I've almost been blowed up. There's a lot of things that go on there, and eventually, when you can't get it out, it all starts to internalize. And what I started noticing is, I was being an asshole. Except I went from a funny asshole to just being a prick. And doing this, I started bringing it home with me. And I was an asshole to my wife. I was an asshole to my kids. I was an asshole to my neighbors, to my friends, to my family. I didn't want to do anything with anybody. I just wanted to go down to the wood shop and have everybody else leave me alone. I had some stuff come up at work. It really made me mad. That I wasn't doing my job, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Boss, no offense. If we're having an issue, why isn't this coming from my lieutenant or my captain? And I got home, I got to think about it. It pissed me off so bad, so bad, so bad, so bad. I was so mad. I come home and, first thing I did was make me a gin and tonic and just go sit out on the back porch and just chain smoke cigarettes because I was that mad. So I text my assistant chief. I said, ma'am, if you're available in the morning, can I come talk to you about what's going on? I'm very upset about it. I would just like your opinion. And we sat and talked for a couple of hours and discussed a lot of things, a lot of issues with the agency and, the guys and the way things were going and everything. And she said something to me that made a lot more sense than she probably should have. She said, if you want to quit, quit. I want you to stay. But if you do quit, quit because it's right for you and it's right for your family, not because you're pissed off at us. There's no sense in leaving mad. So I come home and I sat here and I thought about it. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, you know what? I've been doing this woodworking thing for 3.5 years now. And I'm doing fairly well at it. I've started a business. I'm making pretty okay money on the side. I mean, not a lot, but I'm only doing it 2 and 3 days a week because I work night shift and, I have a 3-day weekend, I'm awake one of them. I have a 2-day off period, I'm awake one of them. There's not a whole lot of time to get down there in the shop. And the original goal in doing this, once I started Blue Pig LLC, was to, 1, hire veterans, 2, create a veteran market, which we are. In February, we're opening up the combat market, which everything we sell, if Blue Pig LLC doesn't make it, it comes from a veteran-owned company or it's made by other veterans. So I've helped that. We're hiring, right now, we're at a 100% hire rate on veterans and prior law enforcement officers. It's phenomenal. Some of the greatest group of guys I've worked with ever. But the other thing was to step out of law enforcement. Not completely. I still do the reserve thing. I still like to go out and help. But you know what? Maybe that was the right thing for my family. You know what? When I turned that resignation letter and I walked outside and I took a breath of air, it was a very awkward breath of air, but it was a very fresh breath of air. So let's fast forward a month and a half. I'm much happier. My family is much closer. My kids are much happier. Hell, I'm losing weight. How? I don't know, because I eat garbage pretty much. I mean, I treat my body like a dumpster fire. I sleep better, I have less medical issues, I hurt less, I'm more joyful, I have more time to spend with you guys and customers and go out and do stuff and spend more time in the community. And now guys that used to not want to come up and talk to me, come up and talk to me about their problems. I had one the other day text me, hey, Sarge, can I call you for a minute? So yeah, go ahead, but I'm not Sarge, I'm just Brandon. And we talked for an hour, and he vented and he cried, and I vented and I cried, and we went back and forth. And the funny thing is, it was a person who I thought when I walked up that door, I never would have spoke to again. I had no idea that person was going to call me. And you know what? And helping them was the best thing I've ever done. It was so nice to actually, for once, give back without fear of being on YouTube or Facebook Live or the newspaper or anything. I mean, doing the right thing for the right reasons, which is the reason that most people originally go into law enforcement. So there, now that we've covered me, let's go into my other problems with the national climate and law enforcement. And let me preface that by saying myself and my company are extremely pro-blue, pro-firefighter, pro-first responder, pro-military, pro-veteran, pro-Second Amendment, pro-anti-stupidity, and pro-American. Politicians. These politicians that want to defund the police are the same ones that have money to hire armed private security. And no offense, but I'm the highest paid agency in the county, and if they defunded us anymore, I'd have to show up to work with my own toilet paper, my own bottle of water. Help pay the water and the light bill there. I mean, there's a lot of agencies out there, you really can't defund them because they're already defunded. And they're doing the best they can with what they have. You want to defund them, well, you know why you're getting crappy officers? Because you give crappy pay. You have crappy benefits and you have crappy perks. If you got an officer that's got to stay there 10 years to get a take-home car, he's been there 20 years and he hasn't even maxed out yet on his pay rate, think he's going to be motivated to do his absolute best every day of the week? Hell no. So I mean, what are we doing? And then you look at your other places that hire at really high rate, have all this great stuff going on, but then you talk to them and they're like, man, I wish I could find somewhere else and make the same amount of money. Well, why? What's going on? Man, we don't get the training they give us. It's all policy and procedure. The only hands-on training we get every year is pistol qualifications. No offense, pistol qualifications, yes, I see a very big purpose in them. Make sure someone can qualify. Let's teach them gunfighting. Let's teach them the skills that are going to save their life in a gunfight. Guess what? That paper target don't move. That paper target don't yell. That paper target don't have friends. That paper target don't even shoot back. Let's work on some quick reaction drills. Everything, yeah, you can hit a target 25 yards. That is awesome. Good job. You and 6 million other cops can do it. But let's see people quick draw out of the holster and start engaging a target at 7 yards, which is the most common distance for gunfights, in record time, because the bad guy's already got the drop on you. He's already got his weapon out and advancing on your position. Let's make sure they can survive that fight. Now, it's poly procedure because it's all about making them look good, making the city commissions happen. Well, why? The things that officers get killed most often doing are driving, shooting, fighting, health stuff. Well, we have a PT program. Get them a damn gym membership. Why aren't we spending more time on the EVOC course, if they even have an EVOC course? If not, where's the driving simulator? Let's get something to get that officer in there. Fighting. Other than what I did on my own, with my friends, sparring around, boxing, stuff that we do with SWAT and bomb, just wrestling around. Other than that, I got defensive tactics once a year. It fit into a 4-hour block, and that was it. That's not even enough to build any kind of muscle memory. As a matter of fact, 3 to 4 weeks later, I'll see people go up and ask the guy at the top of the class, hey, you show me how to do that wrist lock thing again where you went under and grabbed? Yeah, it's like this. Man, I've been trying to get that. I can't get it right because you haven't practiced it enough. We're not doing it. And then you see officers who can shoot a perfect score of marksmanship. You get them to run in place, do some jump jacks, do a couple of push-ups, have to identify shapes and colors on a target. It looks like a Moab went off on that range because there's bullet holes everywhere except for the target they're supposed to shoot. And why is that? because that's not a priority. It's hitting the wickets. Everybody's making law enforcement so complicated now. There's so many wickets that everybody wants them to hit. I want you to have community policing and a legislative update, and I want you to have this and this policy, and know this policy, and know the other 800 policies. Okay, so they know the rules. When you're going to teach them police? When are you going to teach them to survive? When are you going to teach them how to live? You know what? I'm not in a position where I could change that. But I can change it now, because now I can start working more law enforcement with nothing invested in the fight. I can start taking guys back out to the range. I can start working with some of the tactical guys. I can start working with some of the other guys and help them get. And you know what? And I am by no means an expert, but I got a lot of friends who are. And those friends owe me favors. So I want to help those officers. I want to be there for them. And my whole reason for stepping out of law enforcement other than my business was, you know what? I think I can help police more from the other side of the fence than I can from within. Because within, I'm just part of the herd. I'm forced to go along with the flow just like everyone else is, and it's like cattle. You don't want to get in the feed chute, you get hit with a probe. Probe pushes you right on. Of course, probe now is pink slip, but you know that's just where it is. And a lot of you guys have asked, and I thought I owed it to you. And so, you know, I'm glad that we've had almost a whole cup of coffee together. And as always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment, debate it. You know, some of y'all who have commented on my other videos, I love commenting back. I love open debates. I don't like arguing, especially through a keyboard. You want to argue with me, let's meet up somewhere and do it face to face, and that way, you know, when it's done, we can go have a beer. We can agree to disagree. But, you know, for you guys who are still blue out there, for you guys who are still in law enforcement, I wish you the best. My heart goes out to you. Every time I hear sirens, I still get that, you know, concrete gut feeling that a lot of you know. I know you're scared. There's a lot of calls that I went on that I was scared. And I know that a lot of you are doing the absolute 100% best chance that you can, and that you're working your ass off every single day with little to no recognition or little to no thank you. So for me and my family, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your sacrifices and your family sacrifices are near and dear to our hearts. You know, there's not a lot of people who can do what you can do. 13 years, I decided I couldn't do it no more. Hope y'all can make it longer than that. I hope you can make a retirement. You know, it's just not what it used to be. It's greatly becoming a security force as opposed to police force. Don't let some pandemic, don't let some politician ruin your mission. My last agency's mission was to be a model of excellence in law enforcement. And you know what? There were some people who tried really hard to do that, and there were some people who I didn't really try. So we understand what you're going through. We love you. We support you. Want you to do better. Next time, catch me instead of having a cup of coffee, we'll have a glass of whiskey. Other than that, guys, that's my reasons for leaving. I know a lot of it was rambling, but thank you. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let's talk it out. I love you guys. Blue Pig out.